Let's talk about Ohio State. We got big noon kickoff. It has recruits buzzing. Fans are buzzing too. Everybody is looking forward to this Ohio State-Texas game. We got Jeremy Berm of Letterman Row. You can also find him on the Austin and Berm Show 97.1 The Fan YouTube channel. So when you talk big noon kickoff, right, it sounds good in theory, but those who follow recruiting kind of understand it's not as beneficial as one would think.
It's no, it's in some ways it's a detriment, especially a team in the Midwest. It is a national recruiting power that wants to bring in guys from Florida and California and Texas, especially during the football season, because a lot of these kids are playing late on Friday nights, and a lot of them now, a lot of cities around the country are playing games on Saturday. So you lose some opportunities there. That's not going to impact too much this weekend for Ohio State. I mean, we fully expect over 100 recruits, upwards of 300 total recruiting visitors when it comes to families and stuff like that. So this weekend will work out nicely for the Buckeyes. But it has been a concern in the old days. I mean, Urban Meyer would fight pretty hard for night games and for later in the afternoon games to make sure that kids from around the country could travel. That has not worked out under this new TV deal for Ohio State. I think they are the clear bell cow of the Big Ten when it comes to the financial side of things, and Fox knows it, and they put them in that spot. Again, this week it probably doesn't matter. You got the number one team in the country versus the number two team in the country, according to the coaches poll. A huge rematch of the Cotton Bowl, two of the most talented programs in the nation. So the ton of star power coming to town this weekend. But in general, it's not great for recruiting when it comes to getting kids on campus. So for the early season marquee games, it's a real challenge. Later in the year, November, maybe it works out because a lot of kids are done, but that's not the case now.
Yeah. So like you said, I mean, they're still going to find a way to pack like 100 top recruits on the sidelines of this one. When it comes to, between it being a noon kickoff and the 2026 class almost being full, is this Saturday recruiting event more for the 2027, 2028 classes?
100%. This is a week where we'll certainly see most of the 21 Ohio State commitments in the class of 2026 in town, but this is
Wow.
not about supplementing them. This week is about giving those guys an opportunity to do some much needed camaraderie building and class building as far as just getting to know each other better. We will see like Caden Dixon Wyatt and Chris Henry Jr. Coming into town from California because their game was canceled this weekend. So I would fully expect to see a good modern day contingent in from that class. And then there's a bunch of 27s and 28s. That this weekend is about building the future. It's about excitement in that way. The last couple of years, the recruiting dead period has taken a break at the end of July and allowed for teams to do like late July barbecues and that sort of stuff. That's not the case now, and that's okay for Ohio State since they start with this type of opener. This is not normally the case. It was this way in 2022 when Ohio State hosted Notre Dame to start the season, and that game was as star-studded as I've ever seen. But certainly this weekend, Ohio State will host some kids inside of Ohio, kids who had a good start to their senior seasons in the class of 2026, just to maybe start, stoking some fires there and see if anybody pops. But it's absolutely about building the future in 27 and 28, but mostly 27.
Yeah. And if you guys go to Letterman Row, there is a full list of visitors. Saw a couple 5-star names on there. Who are you eager to see from this 2027 visitor list?
It's cliche, Josh, especially in the last couple of years when we discuss Ohio State football recruiting, but I think Brian Hartline may have the top 4 receivers in the country here this weekend, in Jameer Brown and Monshan Sales and Dakota Garant and Easton Royal from Louisiana coming up. So that's a pretty good place to start. I think I haven't checked the On3 rankings today, but I know with Jameer and Dakota and Monshan, which is interesting, just an anomaly in itself, considering we think the top 3 receivers in the country are from Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. So to bring up somebody like Easton Royal from Louisiana is huge.
Yeah.
But then you also have David Gabriel Georges and Penn State commit.
Come Spell.
Come on, Spell. He'll be in town.
Yeah.
You've got Noah Roberts coming from Arizona. So offensively, there's not a position that the Buckeyes aren't going to be pretty well stocked at this weekend. Brady Edmonds, the Buckeyes 27th commit at quarterback, will not make it. He'll be in town next week instead because of some scheduling conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really going to be a loaded list. But it always starts around here with Brian Hartline and the receivers.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about this one on Sunday from all the fallout from the weekend. One last thing I want to touch on. Yesterday, we filmed the Wiltfong Whip Around with Steve Wiltfong, and we did an Ohio State segment, and, the fall is kind of circle back season especially for programs like Ohio State, where Steve said, Ohio State is going to win more games than some of the teams that took recruits from them during the summer. And with that, it comes opportunity. So he mentioned Luke Wafel as one of the names that he would watch. Who are you watching when it comes to Ohio State flip targets this fall?
Inside Scoop fans and football fans everywhere, listen up. Whether you're cheering on the Florida State Seminoles or the Alabama Crimson Tide this Saturday, make sure to drop by the Whataburger food truck during your tailgate. Get ready to bring home the W early with a hot, fresh Whataburger in hand. And no matter who comes out on top, when you take your team to Whataburger, you know you'll feel like a winner with food made fresh and hot every time, 24/7. See you at the game and see you at Whataburger.
Well, there's not many spots left, if we're being honest. They have 21 commitments. They're looking to maybe get to 25. That could add a player or two in the state. Again, I mentioned like someone that has a big senior season. But as far as guys, the Ohio State staff is wanting to circle back to, Luke Wafel is certainly at the top of the list. They believe he is a player who can play next season for them alongside of Kari Wilder, the defensive end they have committed from California. And it's not just about like if your team wins more games. I mean, because obviously people expect Ohio State to win more games than USC this season. The question is, does USC lose enough games that Lincoln Riley's job becomes up in the air? And until that happens, it's hard to get too excited about potential flips because we know that there's more to these conversations than there have been in years past. There's a fairly large financial component. But as far as players that have been taken from Ohio State, and I say that in this way, that both Luke Wafel and Nebraska commitment Danny Odom had essentially told Ohio State that they were coming here and then changed their minds in the 11th hour. Those are two that I think are really still on the list of like, let's keep in touch and see how things work out for your squad. Odom being from Eastern Pennsylvania, he's basically born and raised right on the Ohio-Pennsylvania line. And there was a lot of back and forth between Nebraska and Ohio State when he made his commitment this summer, and a lot of people who believe that he would have preferred personally to choose Ohio State. So we'll see if that matters as things unfold over these next 6 to 8 weeks.
All right. Well, it's going to be an exciting weekend. I can't wait to turn the TV on at noon and see Texas and Ohio State face off. We'll be talking more Ohio State recruiting as the weekend ends. But for now, Jeremy Berm, thanks for stopping by the Inside Scoop.
Glad to do it. Thanks, guys.